Hello everyone, this is Mateus from Math, and on today's video I'm going to record a brief tutorial or a brief overview on the idea on how you can take advantage of SimSched and advanced techniques to consider not usual ways of working or not usual demands. So there's always a workaround we can do. And in this specific case, I'm going to talk about how to incorporate external sources of ore into a given shadowing. Okay, so the objective here is to show how to incorporate external sources of ore. Okay, this is the idea. Okay, well, and I have seen some requests in the direction of, well, first, when a user wants to use underground material with open pit material and blend these materials. So basically what we see here is the fact, well, we have material from an underground pit, we have material from the open pit being scheduled on SimSched, and we want to blend those materials. Okay, we want to send them to the blending and get a given average grade following some parameters, max, min, minimum, and so on. And the second case is a case, well, we want to fulfill the processing plant for example. Here we have the production. Okay, here we have time, and then we have our limit, and the prediction itself, sometimes it's like this. Let's imagine we have some shortfalls over here, and in the second case the user wants to fulfill this prediction here and here by buying ore from third parties and other small companies, buying ore from small companies to put it along with the material here to don't have idle capacity. Okay, so what we should do to pursue both goals like this. Okay, well, let's move a little bit down and let's consider that. Well, we have a block model. Okay, this is our block model for my drawing. Drawing is poor, but you got the idea. Okay, this is our block model, and let's imagine we have a flat topography. Okay, and well, what we need to do here is to create another given column of blocks. Let's imagine our pit limit is something like this. Okay, we have our block model, and this is the expected pit limit according to previous schedulings we have made, and so on. And so what we need to do, so let's say expected pit limit. Okay, and what we want to do in fact is to incorporate material from external sources. of ore. Okay, so somewhere we have more ore, we want to mixture to blend or to combine with the ore from this block model. Okay, and how to do that? One thing we can do is to create a column of blocks in a given area of our block model. So these will be, let's say, artificial blocks that in fact doesn't exist into the block model. And we, well, first thing, so create a column of blocks. Okay. The second thing is, well, we must of course choose a peripheral area, okay, around the bit limit to not influence this area over here. Okay, so we need to choose peripheral area. Okay. The third point is the fact, well, we should not choose the extreme areas over here, because it will have an influence of the block limit, and maybe these blocks might not be fully mined because you are choosing a very peripheral area. So avoid the borders of the model. Okay, so this is actually a tip. Avoid borders. Okay, the third point here is that we should consider that not only these blocks you created, so let's zoom in here. Okay, this is the zoom in. So we have this column of block, column created, and around this column we have 8 adjacent cells. Okay, we have 8 adjacent cells. So 1, 2, 3, and so on. Okay, and viewing from the top, we have just to understand. Okay, so here's our column, top view, 3D view. Okay, so we have 8 adjacent columns here, and of course the adjacent columns, the adjacent cells, actually they exist around each block created. So if you created 3 blocks, you have 3 levels of 8 adjacent cells. Okay, and why I'm saying that, all these little box over here, including the column you created and the adjacent cells, they should have a special slope angle. Okay, so let's say column created plus 8 adjacent cells. They should have slopes equal to 89.9 or something similar. SimSched won't accept 90 degrees. It won't accept, but you should use a very vertical slope angle for these groups of cells. So SimSched will be able to, just in this region where you have this column, and of course the rest is empty, but it's important to set them as 89.9 as well. So SimSched will be able to, for this very specific column you created, and we could call it an artificial stockpile. Okay. For this, we should have a very vertical slope angle, so SimSched will be able to go straight down and not preoccupying with any geometrical constraint in terms of geotechnical specs, and so it won't need to advanced slowing down and so on. And well, these were the three most important points to incorporate external sources of work into your model and use them accordingly to incorporate that into a given shadowing of an open pit mine with your current block model and so on. And well, another important point here, the main idea is that, but for the fourth point, I would like to emphasize that you might need, of course, it will depend on how much blocks you will create over here. The first point, let's say, how much blocks should I create? How much blocks? Well, this will depend on how much material you want to incorporate, or how much material are you predicting to incorporate into your model. If it's just a few blocks more, okay, you might use just a few blocks. But if you have lots of tonnage to be incorporated into your model, the best advice is to manipulate densities of those blocks. Why that? Because if you need you might need a few blocks, and that's okay. You won't need anything, any manipulation. You won't need any manipulation over here. But if you need lots of blocks, you might need to manipulate densities. Okay, and why that? Because if you create, let's say, 100 blocks vertically, 100 blocks, these will affect the vertical rate. Okay, the vertical rate of advance. So if you use hundreds of blocks, these might affect the vertical rate of advancement, and which means how deep you get into a single period. And let's say a reasonable parameter is 12 blocks by year, and well, here you have 100, but you still need to mine those 100 blocks in a year, so it will definitely affect your shadowing, and this parameter will likely be disrespected. So to avoid this sort of situation over here, let's erase this. Okay, to avoid this sort of situation, I would like to suggest that you manipulate densities. So a given block could have, I don't know, a density of 10 times, 2 times. It will depend on how much tonnage you need, because as you know, SimSched we require a fixed block size. So the block size is fixed, and we also need the densities. or actually times density, and this is we call tonnages. So to have the proper tonnage, as this is fixed, we need to manipulate densities. Okay, so you have more tonnages for a given, let's say the block size is 10 by 10 by 10. If you need to have more densities, you will need to also have, if you need to have more tonnages, you will need to increase the density of a given block to adjust if you need lots of blocks. So you will avoid this situation and you will have then just a few blocks. Sorry. Oh. So if you need lots of blocks, if it's just a few, that's fine. If you need lots of blocks, you will manipulate densities and then you have fewer blocks, and that's fine. Okay, that's the idea here. Hope that it helps you to understand how you should operate this sort of artificial stockpiles, fake stockpiles, and to incorporate external sources of ore. Okay, that's it for now. Thank you very much for your attention, and bye.